16. The myth withdraws into the human breast. The intimate rhythm of German Romanticism, the diastole and systole of its heart, are enthusiasm and metaphysical melancholy. It is the abysmal dialectic of the Manichaean heresy and the perpetual reversal of day into darkness and of night into light. The same impulse which bears a soul towards the light and divine unity is, when considered from the standpoint of this world, no more than an impulse towards death and essential separation. Such is the tragical character of transcendental irony, the perpetual motion of romanticism, the passion that ruins without respite all the objects which it is able to conceive and which it desires, nature, the beloved, the self, all that is not uncreated unity and dissolution beyond return. But the enthusiasm is real. It is the endoucement of the troubadours, the endiosada of the Spanish mystics, joie d'amour in the Dionysiac delirium. Out of it spurt perpetually at the supreme point of elevation extravagant fantasies. There is romantic gaiety as there is being moved and melted. Moments of relaxation between two contradictory transports, returns to the world. It is such a moment of queer joy born of metaphysical irony that French Romanticism lacks. In this Romanticism, the data are the same, but the rhythm is less ample and the mind goes too swiftly to the point. France, during the Revolution and Empire, had no energy to spare for speculation in the realms of the spirit. It had no, quote, new religion, end of quote, no romantic philosophers. Not till a century later did one appear, Bergson, the disciple of Schelling. Little or no metaphysics and little or no fancy, that superabundance of a mind uplifted by its own drama. French Romanticism failed to get beyond the sphere of individual psychology. It thus gained in lucidity and hence, within its narrower purview, was brought more swiftly than the Germans to mournful conclusions. Certainly, André Chénier is being a true romantic as he describes, quote, l'enthousiasme errant fills de la pâle nuit, end of quote. In Chateaubriand's famous invocation, quote, arise swiftly longed-for tempests that are to bear René away into the expanses of another life, end of quote, is an unalloyed chant of the passion of darkness. But there was no mystic dawn on the spiritual horizon, nor true joy of love at the summit of those transports. The self was never transcended. It recoiled from the final illusion of a cosmic release. It fell back, disenchanted upon the analysis of its own sadness and clear-sighted ineffectuality. French Romanticism was over-ripened. It was disillusioned and, I am tempted to say, too exact. By the side of it, Jean-Paul and Novalis cut callow figures. The attraction of death among the Germans stimulates the sweetness of being alive. Perhaps this is because a German is more simple and more strongly assured of the reality of another world. A French romantic has been the poorer for remaining an eloquent skeptic, and on account of his fear of seeming ingenuous and of the prolific vulgarity in which the most truly German poets deliberately revel, notwithstanding their nostalgia. The portrait of Novalis' diary of Sophie von Kuhn, the portrait in Novalis' diary of Sophie von Kuhn, his former betrothed who died at 16. He recalls her favorite dishes and notes that she liked wine. A Frenchman shrugs his shoulders at such childishness. Chateaubriand's René amuses himself one day by dropping willow leaves one by one into a stream and endowing them with an idea each leaf that the stream carries away. Chateaubriand's René amuses himself one day by dropping willow leaves one by one into a stream and endowing with an idea each leaf that the stream carries away. He watches intently for the accidents of which his leaves are in danger. The reader feels he is reading some German poet and expects that the world's treasure will presently be exhibited. But swiftly, the 18th century Frenchman grows aware of how he is behaving and thinks it's ridiculous. Quote, "So this is the depth of puerility to which man's magnificent mind can sink," end of quote. The, quote, "magnificent mind," end of quote, therefore ends up with an epigram, quote, "And yet is it true that many a man will bind his fate to things of such small worth as my willow leaves," end of quote. The remainder of the admirable paragraph will repay a reading down to the famous invocation, quote, "Arise, longed-for tempests, come, Auster," end of quote. In connection with Chateaubriand's invocation, the Song of Songs says, "Awake, O north wind, and come, thou south, blow upon my garden that spices thereof may flow out." And Cantico 26 by St. John of the Cross runs, "Come south, wind that awakenest love, blow through my garden and let its odors flow." To the unintentional rationalists that the French Romantics were, to the atheists who did not manage to believe in their most consoling fancies, love could not long be, quote, "the ineffable felicity of the superior life," end of quote, that E.T.A. Hoffmann called it. But rather that, quote, "taciturn and ever threatened," end of quote, love that is the subject of Alfred de Vigny's most splendid verse. The absence of a naive interest in the quotidian forms of life facilitated detachment of mind and the abstract purification of sentiment. Beings and things, their pretexts once pierced by a disillusioned gaze, were quickly no longer genuine obstacles. And the myth, deprived of its external shapes, became what it is in essence, a voluptuous destruction of the self by the self. Quote, "We have learned better without having experienced enjoyment," end of quote, René says, quote, There are still desires and men have no more illusions. Men live with a full heart and an empty world," end of quote. Thereupon, woman herself ceased to be the indispensable symbol of the nostalgia of passion. In Senancour's Obermann, the, quote, "obstacle," end of quote, is entirely within. It consists of the duality of a self unable to achieve either vindication or dissolution, unable to attain either self-possession or possession by another. We knew that Tristan did not love Iseult for herself, but only on account of the love of which her beauty gave him the image. He, however, did not know this, and his passion was naive and strong. René, and Obermann still more, are unable even to believe in the image. They have grasped that the drama takes place inside them, between the intolerable laws of finite terrestrial existence and the desire after a transgression of our limits. Fatal, but divinizing. Let's read that again. "We knew that Tristan did not love Iseult for herself, but only on account of the love of which her beauty gave him the image. He, however, did not know this, and his passion was naive and strong. René, and Obermann still more, are unable even to believe in the image. They have grasped that the drama takes place inside them, between the intolerable laws of finite terrestrial existence and the desire after a transgression of our limits. Fatal, but divinizing. Few, however, were the French Romantics who attained to this bold, arid, and exact self-knowledge, which is closer to negative mysticism than might be supposed. Most of them reverted in time to the illusions of human love, without being able to recapture the vigorous simplicity of the myth. They refined amazingly on the traditional pretexts for the parting of lovers, from Lillis dans la Valle, the most ingenuous, to Adolphe, the most fully conscious. The, quote, pretext, end of quote. Blah, blah, blah. The, quote, pretext, end of quote, is sometimes marriage and honor, or social duty, or virtue, or the lover's melancholic secret, or some religious scruple. Or lastly, avowed narcissism. The myth became progressively more thoroughly internal, while the obstacle invoked crumbled and dissolved in skeptical criticism, and while moral rules degenerated and all vestiges of a sacred element vanished from social life. Stendhal, or The Fiasco of the Sublime. A man